Almost 30 years ago, the legendary author Kurt Vonnegut gave an interview to Harper's Magazine, challenging the advances of technology that would prove beyond prescient as loneliness and isolation have become painfully commonplace in our day and age. As is typical of Vonnegut's particular genius, he advised something so seemingly mundane and quotidian as a transformative source of meaning and joy that is all but lost in our current plight. And that's simply going outside to purchase a manila envelope. Going all the way back to antiquity, Aristotle insisted that we are inherently social creatures. The ancient Greek philosopher wrote, quote, "Man is by nature a social animal. An individual who is unsocial naturally and not accidentally is either beneath our notice or more than human. Society is something that precedes the individual. Anyone who either cannot lead the common life or is so self-sufficient as not to need to, and therefore does not partake of society, is either a beast or a god." Unquote. We are all meant to engage with one another on a variety of levels, from acquaintances, family, lasting friendships to marriage. In fact, healthy, meaningful interactions and relationships are the bedrock to a content and joyous life. That could not be more evident when contrasted with the loneliness and isolation that are now veritable plagues, and as diseases of despair continue to skyrocket. But the antidote to loneliness and despair does not at all require some Herculean feat or effort, or some 4-year diploma from charm school. It begins with something incredibly simple, even mundane, as Vonnegut demonstrates. Quote, "I work at home, and if I wanted to, I could have a computer right by my bed, and I'd never have to leave it. But I use a typewriter, and afterward I mark up the pages with a pencil. Then I call up this woman named Carol out in Woodstock and say, 'Are you still doing typing?' Sure she is. And her husband is trying to track bluebirds out there and not having much luck. And so we chit-chat back and forth, and I say, 'Okay, I'll send you the pages.' Then I go down the steps and my wife calls. 'Where are you going?' 'Well,' I say, 'I'm going to buy an envelope.'" Unquote. And so begins a deceptively joyous adventure for the author out into the world that might seem like some hopeless chore, or even an impossible chore, if one can't actually find the magic the way Vonnegut is able to. His account of his day reminds me of that fantastic quote from the great American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, found in his essay entitled Nature. Quote, "The invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common." Unquote. And so Vonnegut provides a handful of charming, meaningful, and even beautiful interactions with other human beings, also going about their day on his seemingly simple quest to purchase an envelope and send a manuscript. Vonnegut continues, quote, "So I go to this newsstand across the street where they sell magazines and lottery tickets and stationery. I have to get in line because there are people buying candy and all that sort of thing. And I talk to them. The woman behind the counter has a jewel between her eyes, and when it's my turn, I ask if there have been any big winners lately. I get my envelope and seal it up, and go to the Postal Convenience Center down the block at the corner of 47th Street and 2nd Avenue, where I'm secretly in love with the woman behind the counter. I keep absolutely poker-faced. I never let her know how I feel about her. One time I had my pocket picked in there and got to meet a cop and tell him about it." Unquote. All these encounters throughout his day demonstrate a deceptive depth on the part of Vonnegut. On the surface, they seem whimsical and fleeting, but in reality, Vonnegut expresses a kind of love for everyone that echoes both the Golden Rule and a desire to love thy neighbor as thyself, found in all the wisdom traditions around the world. It's Vonnegut's willingness to find the miraculous in the mundane that imbues life with magic and wonderment. And in that magic and wonderment is an antidote to all the loneliness and despair that now seems to surround us on a daily basis. So heed the words of Kurt Vonnegut and go outside, smile at passersby, strike up a conversation at the grocery store, a cafe, on the bus, or at the airport with anyone and everyone.
We are here on Earth to fart around, and don't let anybody ever tell you any different.